is that I think that workflow for LaTeX very important, in that most of us develop ways of working to avoid having to type much of the LaTeX. So whether you use Emacs, VI, Sublime Text, TextMate or Atom or whatever, usually there are ways of making the typing very quick, because if you have to type the markup, it ends up becoming very tedious, and B, very error prone. So for example, in TextMate or Sublime Text, you can type item, hit the tab key, and it expands to a begin itemize, end itemize, backslash item, and the insertion point. And you can write your own snippets with tab stops at appropriate points, so that instead of having to type all of the markup for example, a Beamer frame, you just simply type, in my case, BMRF, hit the tab key, and it puts everything in. And examples of that workflow are typically not, you won't find that on Stack Overflow for tech. And I guess it takes some time to realize that all of the software around LaTeX is part of the whole process. I think that's as important as learning things about LaTeX. I guess the next thing that you have to learn about LaTeX is that it's a programming language, and it's a very peculiar programming language, because you have to be aware of the point at which things get expanded, which is not obvious. But that's the second level, I guess. The first level is the workflow, the using your text editor to do the typing for you. I think that's my little bit. That's the first bit I would try and get over after the very early bits. And I suspect that a lot of the allegedly user-friendly editors miss out on letting you write your own snippets, which is what you want to do. Okay, that's me done. Jonathan, back to you.
Well, thanks very much for that, Phil. And it's reminded me of something I came across in the web development area, and the name of it I can't remember, but it's a plugin that allows you to write HTML at great speed.
Right.
So you can, one command will say, I want a list with 3 items, and here's the template for the items, and so forth. So it's a sort of,
yeah, it's the same idea. It's
yeah. But they seem to have made a whole tool and system and standards and so forth for it. And I can't remember the name of it. I hope it comes back to me.
Is it out of Markdown?
That's it. Omid has told us it's Emmet.
Ah, Emmet, yes.
I think Git is a version control system, and the freely available sites such as GitHub and GitLab are really an enormous difference to things. And one of the things I think is, that Kelly's already mentioned, is using GitHub to be a cloud typesetter for you. You have to wait for it to come, but it's free and it's reliable. I think the other thing is, what if you could just clone an existing repository, and there you are, off you go. So that if you want to write a Beamer document, clone an existing repository, which will come with actions to typeset it, and off you go. I think that would help beginners, and it would also bring them into version control. So training beginners on how to use version control, I think, would be quite helpful, particularly when they come to have problems, because it means that they can share their problems more easily with other people.
It sounds like a great idea to me, but it would also bring the burden of introducing Git or any kind of version control to beginners. LaTeX, as it seems, might be intimidating to some individuals, some beginners, because even though it's a markup language, if you're not very technical, it seems like a programming language. I think the effort to learn LaTeX at the first place is enough for any kind of novices, let's say. But this is my personal idea, and I would like to hear other people's opinions on this one.
Thank you, Erdal. I don't think this is a right or wrong. I think that different people have different needs. Something works for one person and doesn't work for somebody else. But you're right that telling somebody who wants to learn LaTeX, oh, you should learn this and learn this and learn this and learn this, and perhaps you should learn Emacs as well before you really do anything serious, is intimidating and off-putting, and it's not helpful, and it's not in the spirit of things.
Come to me. Maybe the use of overleaf can be promoted very more, let's say, because in traditional way of compiling TeX, you have to install the software in your computer, and if you're not using an IDE such as TeXmaker or something like that, you have to use your terminal to compile it as well. Maybe for the beginners, and browser-based tools such as Overleaf may be very beneficial.
In broad terms, I agree with that. I think that a solution that runs on a person's PC that doesn't involve a whole TeX install is also a good thing to go for. But so I'm agreeing with you, Erdal, that there's a problem. There's a serious problem, and the Overleaf is one of the solutions. And I'd like to find other solutions. One of which is something that Kelly mentioned at the beginning, which is setting up a GitHub action that does the LaTeX compilation for you. And I believe that if you have the TeX install required for the git install GitHub action to be appropriate for the document, it'll take 15 seconds rather than 2 minutes. And a beginner can wait for 15 seconds if the document is correct to begin with. So that's another solution. So I agree with you very much that it's a problem, and the Overleaf is one solution.